One of the wildest weeks in recent sports history continues to get even crazier. On Wednesday, Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach of all time, surprised all of us by announcing his retirement from coaching. After 17 years in Tuscaloosa and 6 national championships with the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban decided to call it a career, which then left us with the question, who was going to be his replacement? Who was going to fill his shoes? Who wanted to follow in his footsteps, to follow and have to live up to the lofty expectations that he set? Alabama officials said they would have a replacement within 72 hours of his retirement. They found his replacement in under 48 hours. Kalen DeBoer, the new head coach at Alabama. The Crimson Tide striking out on a couple of their top targets like Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, maybe even Dabo Swinney. They landed with Kalen DeBoer, who was not third or fourth option, was one of the top options, and they found a way to deliver. This is huge, huge news, guys. Not just because he is Nick Saban's replacement, not just because he is going to be following in these massive footsteps and is expected to live up to lofty expectations of winning consistently and competing for national titles, but it's a big deal because Alabama's not going to miss a beat with Kalen DeBoer. He is a proven and consistent winner, and this is an absolute home run hire in Tuscaloosa. As we know, a little bit of background with Kalen DeBoer, 2-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Doesn't sound all that impressive until you realize he's a 2-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year after being in the Pac-12 for 2 years. He won that award in back-to-back seasons at Washington, had a 25-3 record with the Huskies in those 2 seasons, including this last year where they went a perfect 14-0 all the way up to that national championship game where they fell to Michigan on Monday. So in less than a week, you had Washington preparing for the national championship. They fall short to Michigan. Just a few days later, DeBoer out to Tuscaloosa. So a very, very wild week for him and this Washington football program. But again, an unbelievable run in 2 seasons with the Huskies. But he's won everywhere else. 67-3 record at D2 Sioux Falls from 2005 to 2009. A 12-6 record at Fresno State, including a 9-3 record in 2021. Only 2 seasons there with the Bulldogs, one of which was that 2020 COVID year, which many of us choose to kind of throw out the window, choose to try to forget. And then again, 25-3 with the Huskies to compile a 104-12 record in 9 years as a head coach. Kalen DeBoer has coached football for 9 years as a head coach, has only lost 12 times, has won 11 games or more in 7 of the 9 years that he has been a coach. The only exceptions, again, were those 2 years at Fresno State where he went 3-3 in 2020 and 9-3 in 2021. So if you want to round it up, you can say he's won at least 9 games in 8 of the 9 years that he has been a head coach in college football. This is a perfect fit at Alabama. There is no doubt about that. This is not a guy that has to come in and prove himself. This is not a guy that is going to go through some growing pains. Sure, maybe moving to the SEC where he spent the last few years kind of out west on the West Coast. Sure, that might be a bit of an adjustment, but in this day and age with NIL and transfer portals and everything like that, he's going to be just fine. You can expect him to bring some key transfers that he recruited to Washington with him to Tuscaloosa. And more than anything, guys, this was actually a move that I think made sense. As heartbreaking as this is if you're a Washington fan, as heartbreaking as this is if you were excited to see Kalen DeBoer and this new Huskies program go over to the Big Ten, this was a move that really benefits him. It's a Washington team that loses so much talent from the team that we just saw become the national runner-up. They lose Michael Penix. They're going to lose a handful of those top wide receivers. You heard Kalen DeBoer over and over again before and after the national championship talking about these 6-year players, these veterans that had been through this program for so long. Well, they're now all departing. So it wasn't that Washington was going to completely fall off in 2024, by no means, but they were going to lose a lot of production. To expect them to contend for a national championship or a playoff spot next year might have been a little bit far-fetched, especially entering a very difficult conference in the Big Ten. So everything was changing with Washington from the roster to the conference change. Everything was going to be a lot more difficult and different. Not to say Alabama SEC is not going to be difficult. Arguably, it's going to be more difficult than what he was going to handle at Washington. But the time seemed right. He was going to have a fresh start with the Huskies. Why not have a completely fresh start with Alabama where he has an opportunity to retain as much of the roster as possible from a team that was a couple yards away from possibly going to the national championship where maybe he would have played the Crimson Tide, the Alabama and Washington, the national championship. That could have happened, very well could have. So this, to me, makes good sense for Kalen DeBoer. This is a smart move on his part, and despite the Huskies' best efforts, despite offering to double his salary to over $9 million per year. It was not enough to keep him away from Tuscaloosa. It was not enough to keep Kalen DeBoer away from continuing Nick Saban's legacy, to continue the tradition and rich tradition of winning in Tuscaloosa. This was, again, a home run hire, A-plus hire by Alabama. A lot of credit to them for getting this job done so quickly. A lot of credit to them for landing such a big name, landing a guy that, again, knows how to win, has won everywhere. There is no part of this that I do not like, and I'm, again, going to tell you, Alabama will not skip a beat. They will not miss a beat. It will be a completely different look. It will be a new look. And will they go through some growing pains? Sure. You got to be a little bit patient with them too, guys. This is not Nick Saban, but this is a team that next year will be contending for an SEC title. They will be contending for a playoff spot and will continue to do so as long as Kalen DeBoer is at the helm. So, guys, there you go. The breaking news today has been a wild, wild week in college football. It's not going to be dying anytime soon. It's only going to continue to get wilder as we continue to shuffle through these coaching changes. We're going to have more transfers. We're going to have more updates as we continue to go on through this week. So stay tuned right here at the Gridiron Expert for that. But until then, please continue to like, to comment, subscribe, share the videos. Check out everything down in the description below. It is officially the college football off season, but the season never dies here at our channel. We'll continue to post nonstop videos right here at the Gridiron Expert, so do not miss out on that. Again, check everything out. Make sure to subscribe. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.